Welcome to the Write Good Books podcast, the audio companion to WriteGoodBooks.com, with your host Jason Bougger.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jason, and Scott's here too. Scott Michael Childers, who filled in last week. I'd make some comment about having sick kids, but why repeat myself?
All good things bear repeating.
Always. Thanks for filling in last week.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad that you're back.
Yeah, I'm glad we're both here because this is our 2-year anniversary since we started the podcast, which is really cool because I had no idea we'd be able to keep doing it.
Yeah, regularly.
With no fighting, no biting, no kicking.
Well, you have kids. You've probably seen all three.
Yeah, but not here, so.
No, not yet.
Yeah, so thanks everybody who's been there from day one, and there's been, I'd say, a gradual upper slope, so, you know, we've got a few new faces over the years, so thanks, and I hope you all stick around. I thought, since it is our 2-year anniversary, we'll just kind of do a little less technical thing and just talk about what we've learned mostly as writers in the last 2 years and a little bit about doing podcasts too. Since I didn't let you talk yet, you want to go ahead and start?
I talked all last episode. I think one thing that we've learned is that patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
Over the past 2 years, you know, me personally, I've been working on the same manuscript for a while. And that's book number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's been really interesting to see that we talk about something that I've been struggling with,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't know how to put that struggle into words until after we talked about something, and it hit me, yes, that is the very issue I'm having with my own manuscript.
Perfect.
But I didn't see it because I was too close to that work. I don't know, did you have anything like that?
You know, I had similar with Theme of Absence, where I'll be not critiquing, but reviewing somebody's submission and point out some errors I see, and then realize I do that in my own work. And so, podcast, yeah, it's always great to just kind of talk out our problems, and this isn't actually for the listener, it's for our therapy as writers. Commiserate on our writer's block and things. You know, what I've learned in the last 2 years doing this podcast, and this is sort of related to the podcast and sort of related to everything else I do, I don't write enough. I spend so much time being a writer, but not a lot of time writing. You know, in the last year, I've done some panels, I've done some talks, I've got hit by a car going to a panel.
Yeah.
And
blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. The traffic to my blog it was up about 4 times as much as last year. So I've been putting more effort into that, I suppose, too. And but that was the big takeaway this year when I looked at what I've done in the last couple of years. It's really, I haven't put out anywhere near as many words in fiction as I've done, because I skipped NaNoWriMo for the last couple of years, and I just keep tinkering between projects.
Are you becoming famous for being famous?
Uh-oh.
Is that where you're...
That's our goal. That's all of our end goals, to be a
We're not writers, we're internet celebrities.
There you go.
That doesn't pay very well.
We've got a long ways to go for that.
But I think that is something that was unexpected, at least for me, is the fact that, okay, I got book number 1 done. Mm-hmm. It's out there, I'm selling it. And then in my head, when we first started this, I was thinking I'm going to get a book out every year.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Especially, you know, just because you got that book out. And I think we had an episode on this too. Yeah. It becomes selling the book.
Yeah.
You become a entrepreneur then, as well as a writer.
You know, another problem, I think we both have the same problem with book number 2. Yours was nonfiction, mine was young adult.
Mm-hmm.
What we're working on next is not nonfiction and young adult, so we're looking at much larger word counts,
mm-hmm.
and just, you know, you put a different type of creative effort into that type of project, and it just takes longer than the first book.
Yeah.
What I'm working on now is, maybe it'll be done before I die.
Maybe. Or not, and your sons can rewrite it and sell it post.
There you go. Something like that. But that does bring us to something else I learned, is that, especially in the last year when I'm working on a bigger project, I need to plan ahead better. I used to think I was a pure discovery writer. Well, on larger projects, I am not, and that does not work for me anymore. So I've opened up Scrivener, and I've been really using that a lot.
So your writing style has evolved.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to think world building was for suckers. Maybe not quite like that, but yeah, I mean, there's so much more pre-writing I do now. Even before a short story, I'll do a little more pre-writing now, where I used to just sit down and pour a glass and see what comes out.
And, that leads me to something that I remember we did an episode between, planning or just discovery writing, and I found something similar for myself, but it wasn't with that. It was the time management. Mm-hmm. And this was one of our earlier episodes, too, is time management.
Maybe our first one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you had a lot more scheduled approach, and I did not. And I'm finding that my priority-based type of thing is not giving me enough words, that I feel happy with. So I need to do more conscious blocking of my time and doing more scheduling for me. But that is something I found in these past 2 years that's different than when we started. That my approach to needing time, I have to protect some time to make it work. Otherwise, I let things slide a little too much. So that is something that has changed for me in the past 2 years. Now, one thing that hasn't changed is still my flaming hatred for fan fiction. But
well,
someone has to be the curmudgeon on this show. Might as well be me.
Those new Star Trek movies did pretty well, that trilogy, and that was fan fiction.
Oh, and here come the haters.
No, that's already a couple years ago.
No. Also, the fact that for this podcast, having someone to work with has been really nice, because it also helps keep it going.
Yeah.
And writing is such a solitary thing in most of it. If you have someone else that you can relate to, whether recording or not,
right,
I think that helps continue the desire to keep at it sometimes, where other times, if you didn't have someone in your corner or someone else that you that had similar problems or similar things going on,
someone to remind you that you're a writer still.
Yeah.
So don't forget.
Yeah. And remind you why you did it in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. Because I enjoy putting those stories out there. It's definitely not to make money.
That will come later.
Yes. Much, much later.
Down with the day jobs. We like our day jobs, but, what else did I learn? I guess that's it. I don't learn. I learned that I love fantasizing about the novels I want to write, but when it comes down to it, I have a lot more fun writing short stories. So I'll sit there, I'll think about the novel like all day, and then it's like, okay, it's time to sit down and work on it. And then I'll sit, and I'm like, well, that short story I was thinking about sounds kind of fun. So, so I have a little bit of disciplinary issues in my head, too.
But in that case, you still are putting out something. A short story is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
And maybe, maybe that is what the story that you really wanted to tell, that's the form it needed to fit, right?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to, stretch out something to novel length.
Yeah, it's true. Do you still enjoy writing after 2 years?
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you that I do a lot of writing for my job. And none of that is fiction. I just have to say.
Yeah.
That's all reports and stuff. But being able to just use the massive amounts of tools that a person who wants to use, when you're looking at word choice and sentence structure and length of things and pacing and all of these things, and trying to take that visible picture in my head and describe it and tell that story or show that story with nothing but words.
Yeah.
And then have that be translated. That's still a very powerful thought to me, and I still love that challenge. It's a fun challenge, as opposed to trying to play Cuphead. I don't know, video game for those of you, oh man, I can't play it. But it's a great intellectual challenge I still truly enjoy doing. What about you?
What you said.
Ditto.
Ditto.
There's your word choices.
Yes. No, also, something else I learned about. I'm trying to work on this epic fantasy trilogy, and I realized I don't read epic fantasy. So I realized I shouldn't be trying to do something when I haven't read it. So, and part 2 of that is I learned I don't like the Wheel of Time series. I started that. I got about halfway through the first book and just said, this isn't for me. So I would like suggestions from the listeners of some good epic fantasy to try. My experience is just with Dragonlance. But, so yeah, I learned it's really hard to write outside your genre. I wrote some mystery, and I was like, well, I don't read mystery. So...
Well, I wouldn't say that's hard to write outside your genre.
I mean,
it's hard to write outside of
what you read.
Yeah, and what you're exposed to.
Right.
I lurk on the writing subreddit, and it just seems like every day there's someone asking permission to write something, or can I do this, or can I do that?
Yeah.
That's something I've learned over the past 2 years is the only person who can give you that permission is yourself.
Right.
Now, whether or not it's good, that's up to you and your skill as a writer.
Yeah.
But you can write about just about anything. So why are you asking other people for permission? Now, it may not sell. It may not be good, but you can attempt it.
Yeah. And this isn't exactly something I've learned in the last 2 years, but in the last 7 years, you have to embrace failure, and you have to not be afraid to try new things. I also learned that no matter how well written you think it is, you just can't sell a vampire story. Some of these publications even have that in their guidelines, do not send us vampire stories.
Trends. There are trends in what the market will purchase. That is something, I've learned too. So,
but it's been a good 2 years. I'm happy we're doing this. I'm happy people are listening.
Yeah,
and,
me too. I'm so glad they're there, and I'll speak for both of us on this one, I guess, but I think if they have things that they want us to cover in our next 2 years, they should let us know.
Yeah, please. So we're always looking for ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And, real quick, the other thing we learned was about the technology of podcasting, because I knew absolutely nothing. I thought you just record an MP3 and put it on your blog, and that's about it.
Well, you could.
I guess you could.
But...
yeah, I learned a lot. I learned about editing, and it was so hard when we first started this, and I don't know if we've got better to make it easier to edit, but it would take me about an hour per 5 minutes, just figuring out what I'm doing, and now I can usually edit these things pretty quick, so I hope my quality of editing hasn't gone down.
I did listen to some of our first episodes recently, and I think on the technical side, things have changed. I think our interactions have changed a little bit.
For the best? For the worst?
For the better, at least. If that was the best, then I don't know. But yeah, I mean, even the technology, the microphone placement and getting the software set up and the settings set up so that way it's a little bit better. And also our voice boxes, treating our voice boxes better. And I know I've changed the way I approach certain parts of my day, knowing if we're recording that or not.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm not drinking a lot of dairy the day before a recording session, or all those little tricks. And I don't have a radio quality voice
either.
But and those little things add up. Just like those little things add up in our writings.
Right. So, you know what? Let's close with a little question.
Okay.
I catch you off guard with. What is your big goal for 2018?
A big goal for 2018? Oh, man. I think for 2018, my big goal will be try to position myself in a place where if I wanted to, I could probably drop the day job. Now, I'm not saying I am, but I'm going to try and position myself and build up my resume, so to speak, get my tools sharpened, and put myself in that position. So
maybe we'll have some episodes on freelancing then.
Yeah, maybe.
That's always an option too.
So I think that's
cool.
My
I hope you get there.
Big goal is that for our 3-year anniversary that I could say I could if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what we all shoot for. Mine, a little more writing specific, is just I want to have a first draft of the first book of this trilogy I've been planning out. And, I'd like to have a short story written and submitted every month, too. That's my standard generic goal that usually fails by March.
Yeah, but I know you're big on setting goals, more so than I am. And so, yeah, set that goal. Happy New Year.
Big goal. My big 5-year goal is to definitely full-time writer. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap things up then here, and if you'd like to support us, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/writegoodbooks, and if you've got any feedback or suggestions, feel free to visit us on the web at writegoodbooks.com/podcast. So thanks, it's been a fun 2 years, and hope you guys had a great New Year.
See ya.